There was a time when the entire future of humanity could have been lost in a single generation. Every day, you are more likely to die than you are to live. Now imagine being alone in that world. You are one of the first, and unless you survive and find someone else like you, there is no future. This is why it sucked being Earth's first human, and why it's almost impossible to survive 100 days. If you enjoy, consider subscribing. Day 1. You wake up cold. You are one of the earliest Homo sapiens, living nearly 200,000 years ago, when humanity is fragile and rare. Small groups exist somewhere across Africa, but they are scattered and vulnerable. Right now, you are alone. There is no shelter, no fire, no inherited knowledge to guide you. As night falls, the temperature drops sharply. In this era, exposure kills as efficiently as predators. You survive your first night curled into tall grass, hoping nothing smells you. Day 2. Hunger sets in quickly. An adult human in this environment burns close to 3,000 calories a day just staying alive. You find berries, but you have no way of knowing if they are safe. You eat them anyway. If they are poisonous, this ends here. They are not. Luck keeps you alive again. Day 3. You hear lions in the distance. During this period, many predators are larger than their modern counterparts, and they hunt in coordinated groups. You climb a rock formation and wait them out. It becomes clear that you are not the apex species here. Day 4. You strike stones together. They fracture, and the edges are sharp. Early Homo sapiens survived not because they were the strongest, but because they learned to shape tools. For the first time, you hold something that gives you an advantage. It is small, but it matters. Day 5 through day 7. You attempt to hunt and fail. Humans are not built for explosive speed. You are built for endurance, for long-distance tracking over time. For now, you settle for insects and roots. Your hands develop small cuts, and in this era, infection is a silent killer. Reaching the end of your first week alive is already unlikely. You begin to understand something deeper. Early Homo sapiens did not survive alone. They lived in small bands, maybe 20 or 40 individuals, sharing food, protection, and knowledge passed down over generations. Alone, you must rediscover everything yourself. That means your objective is shifting. You do not just need food. You need to find another human. Days 8 through 12. You begin moving consistently. Early humans were nomadic, exhausting nearby resources quickly. You discover a hollowed tree base and turn it into crude shelter. It is not strong, but it shields you from wind. You see hyenas at a distance and change direction. Survival here is not about winning fights. It is about not being seen. Day 13. You encounter something worse. A saber-toothed cat moves through the brush ahead of you, built for ambush, with elongated canines meant to pierce deep into prey. It has not seen you. You step slowly behind a rock formation and wait. Minutes stretch unbearably long before it disappears into the tall grass. You survive because you stayed invisible. Day 14 and day 15. Your body begins adapting. Humans sweat efficiently and can travel long distances in heat. Your strength is not speed, it is endurance. On day 15, you attempt to create fire. You strike stone against stone again and again. Sparks appear, but fade. After dozens of attempts, a small flame catches dry grass. It lasts only seconds, but now you know it can be done. If you control fire, everything changes. Warmth, cooked food, light after sunset, and smoke, visible for miles. If there are other humans somewhere in this vast landscape, fire may be how you find them. It may also reveal your location to something else. Days 16 through 20. You gather bark, grass, and small branches. Blisters form on your hands. On day 18, flame holds longer. On day 20, it survives the night. Predators hesitate at the edge of firelight. For the first time, you are not entirely defenseless. Day 21 and day 22. You cook meat scavenged from a carcass left behind by larger predators. Cooking increases caloric absorption and reduces parasites. Many anthropologists believe mastery of fire accelerated human brain development. You feel clearer, stronger. On day 22, you hear something that does not sound like an animal, a distant vocal call. You search the horizon, nothing. Humans are biologically social creatures. Extended isolation increases stress and cognitive decline. You are not built to do this alone. Days 23 through 27. You begin marking trees with cuts from your stone tool. Primitive navigation. If you are going to search for another human, you cannot afford to get lost. One evening, you see smoke far in the distance. By the time you reach that direction the next day, it is gone. On day 27, a massive short-faced bear enters your clearing. Taller and faster than modern bears, it could overpower you easily. You retreat toward your fire. The bear hesitates, then moves on. Fire saves you again. Days 28 through 32. You reinforce your shelter with branches and mud. You now have a stable water source, basic tools, controlled fire, and partial shelter. For the first time, you begin planning days ahead instead of reacting hour by hour. Then a storm hits. Heavy rain collapses part of your structure and nearly extinguishes your fire. Climate instability during the Pleistocene makes survival unpredictable. You rebuild in exhaustion. Day 33. 33 days alone in a world that was never meant for a single human. In modern survival terms, that would already be extraordinary. But here, survival is measured in generations, not weeks. If you remain alone, your odds continue shrinking. Without another human somewhere in this vast landscape, you will never make it 100 days. Day 34. You wake before sunrise and immediately check the fire. Routine is becoming your quiet advantage. In this world, predictable habits reduce mistakes. Mistakes get you killed. Day 35 through 37. You begin traveling farther from your shelter. Early Homo sapiens were wide-ranging foragers, capable of covering long distances on foot. You test that endurance now, mapping the land in widening circles. You notice game trails. You learn where predators prefer to move. Knowledge replaces panic. Day 38. Your stone tool snaps while cutting meat. Alone, there is no one to show you better techniques. Every broken tool costs time and calories. In early human bands, knowledge was shared. Alone, progress is slower and riskier. You begin to feel the weight of that isolation. Day 40. You follow a river upstream. Water sources attract life. They also attract death. You see fresh lion tracks in the mud and change direction. You are learning restraint. Day 42. You think you hear laughter. It stops instantly. There is nothing in the tall grass. Prolonged isolation elevates stress hormones and can distort perception. Humans evolved to exist socially. Your brain is built for shared signals, shared language. Alone, it strains. You press on. Day 44 through 47. Food becomes inconsistent. Herd animals move with the season. You miscalculate distance one afternoon and return to camp exhausted, lightheaded, nearly dehydrated. A single poor decision nearly ends you. In this era, there is no margin for error. Day 48. You see smoke again, closer this time. Not imagination, not distance haze. Real smoke rising slowly into the sky. Your heart races. If another human exists nearby, everything changes. But so does the danger. Early Homo sapiens were not automatically cooperative. Scarce resources create tension. Strangers could mean competition. Day 49. You move cautiously toward the smoke and stop at the edge of a clearing. There are humans, 5 of them. They are like you, same build, same posture, same awareness. One holds a sharpened wooden spear. Their fire is controlled, their shelter more stable than yours. You do not step forward. They have seen you. No one moves. Minutes pass. The standoff breaks when a child steps forward from behind them. You realize something important. You are not the only one, but you are not part of them. Day 50. You retreat before nightfall. You do not approach their camp again. You are not ready to risk hostility. In early human populations, territorial behavior was real. A lone male entering a group could be perceived as a threat. You survive by distance. Day 52. You return to your shelter and feel the silence more intensely than before. Knowing others exist makes isolation heavier. You understand now, survival alone is possible for a time. Long-term survival is not. Day 54 through 56. A dry spell begins. Water levels drop. Grazing animals thin out. Climate instability during this period regularly forced human groups to migrate. You consider moving permanently. Day 57. You hear chaos in the distance. Animal distress. Human shouting. You climb elevated rock and look toward the sound. A predator attack. You cannot see clearly, but you see movement. A large cat among the brush. The small group you observed days ago scatters. You do not intervene. You cannot. When the noise fades, the clearing is quiet. Day 58. You approach cautiously. The camp is abandoned. Signs of struggle. Blood in the dirt. No bodies. They have either fled or fallen. You are alone again. Day 60. You find her. Not in the clearing, but near the riverbank downstream. She is injured, hiding behind brush. She sees you. Freezes. You lower yourself slowly, palms open. Early human communication relied heavily on body language before structured language evolved. She does not run. Day 61. You leave food near her and step back. Trust in this era is earned slowly. You do not crowd her space. Day 62 through 64. She follows at a distance when you move. You do not force proximity. By day 64, she shares your fire. Two humans beside flame. For the first time, silence feels different. Day 66. You are no longer alone, and your odds change immediately. But the world has not become safer. Two humans are easier to notice than one. And somewhere in this landscape, the predator that scattered her group still hunts. If you thought surviving alone was difficult, now you must survive for two. Day 67. You wake beside her, and for the first time in over 2 months, you are not scanning the horizon alone. Early Homo sapiens were biologically wired for cooperation. 2 sets of eyes mean fewer blind spots. 2 bodies mean shared labor. Immediately, survival becomes more efficient. Day 68 through 70. You begin hunting differently. One distracts while the other circles wide. You do not overpower prey, but you increase your odds. Cooperation was humanity's greatest evolutionary weapon. Together, you secure more consistent food than you ever did alone. Day 71. You both hear it at the same time. Movement in tall grass. A large cat emerges at the edge of visibility. You do not charge. You do not shout. You back slowly toward fire and elevated ground. The cat studies you, calculating risk versus reward. 2 upright figures are harder to isolate than one. After long seconds, it retreats. Day 73. You move camp. Smoke rises more frequently now, and predators learn patterns. Early humans rarely stayed long in one location once visibility increased. Mobility is safety. Day 75. She shows you something you did not know. A root that stores water beneath dry soil. Knowledge exchange begins. This is how early human intelligence compounded. Alone, you reinvent. Together, you accelerate. Day 77 through 80. A herd migration passes near your new camp. You follow at distance, taking advantage of movement patterns. The land feels less hostile when shared. At night, you sit beside fire and communicate through gesture and tone. Structured language does not yet exist as you know it, but meaning does. Day 82. A storm rolls in without warning. Winds, stronger than any you have seen, flatten parts of your shelter. Rain floods low ground. You relocate to higher terrain in darkness. She nearly slips on wet rock. You steady her. Exposure kills quickly in this era. You huddle beside protected flame and endure until morning. Day 84. You find tracks circling your camp. Large, heavy, deliberate. A predator has learned your scent. You move again. Early Homo sapiens survived by avoiding becoming predictable. Day 86. While gathering wood, you hear hyenas approaching. They outnumber you. You climb to elevated stone, pulling her up behind you. Hyenas wait below for nearly an hour before losing interest. Patience saves you again. Day 88 through 90. Food becomes scarce. A dry stretch reduces available vegetation and pushes prey farther north. Caloric deficits return. You ration. You travel longer distances. Fatigue builds. Day 92. You spot smoke on the horizon again. Distant. Faint. Other humans exist somewhere beyond your sight. The world is no longer empty, but you do not approach. You have what you need now. Day 94. A massive short-faced bear appears unexpectedly near a water source. It rises on hind legs, towering. You do not run blindly. You slowly widen your posture, maintain eye contact without aggression, and retreat toward dense brush and rock. The bear eventually turns toward easier prey. Survival in this era is often about not being the easiest option. Day 96. You both begin constructing a more stable shelter near a rock overhang. Structural stability matters now. You are thinking beyond weeks. Early humans who invested in semi-stable shelter increased survival odds through seasonal shifts. Day 97. She rests more frequently. Movement slows. You recognize changes. Early Homo sapiens had high infant mortality, but reproduction was the only path forward. If a population dropped too low, extinction followed quickly. Day 98. You secure additional food and reinforce fire through the night. Predators circle at distance, but do not approach the light. Day 99. You sit beside her as wind moves through tall grass. For nearly 100 days, survival has been uncertain, fragile, dependent on luck and caution. Alone, you would not have lasted this long. Together, your odds increase, not dramatically, but enough. Day 100. You wake before sunrise. The landscape is the same. Dangerous, unpredictable, unforgiving. Lions still roam. Bears still wander. Storms will still come. But you are no longer a single fragile human in a vast wilderness. You are two. And in this era, that is everything. Early Homo sapiens survived, not because they dominated the world, but because they formed bonds, shared knowledge, and protected one another long enough to reproduce. If you had remained alone, you would never have made it 100 days. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. We upload new videos every week.